and they blast it out in red zones uninterrupted, no ads, Scott Hansen commentating, and they get it on. Every play, every interception, every touchdown is on TV, and it changes the scope of watching American football. It makes it so exciting, fascinating. You can't breathe, because if you've got a fancy team or a bet going and you've got a touchdown happens, next thing you know, another touchdown, your opposite side gets a touchdown, and it's pandemonium. And then you've got about 5 bets going at the same time, and it's incredible. And especially with your fantasy team, as it's all kicking off, you're begging for a highlight, and you're begging for Scott Hansen to shout out your player's name. Justin Jefferson's got a touchdown, you're dying for it. So it just makes the sport so interesting, and that's how I got into it.
Bish?
Yeah, it's great. It's like a mini highlight show. So just how we sort of, the structure of it is there's 2 conferences, the AFC and the NFC, and within that there's 4 divisions of 4 teams. So you've got your North East, South West. There's 17 game weeks. Each team gets 1 bye throughout the season, and then you go into a top 7 from each conference playoff, and then you work your way down to a championship game from each division, and the winners of that go through to the Super Bowl final.
Wow. And obviously, in terms of, just to give people again, and I know like, people are watching it and they're absolute anoraks of this, but people are watching it for the first time. This is, in regards to sport in England, how big is the Super Bowl, guys? Is it the biggest?
I think it's the biggest. Well, it's the biggest spectacle in America, and obviously that's probably one of the biggest countries for sports, full stop, in the world. The whole country stands still being over there. It's like nothing good. There's every single person has a Super Bowl party. You've got beers, you've got snacks. They've released everything.
Chicago, amazing.
Oh, it's unbelievable what they do.
But Bish, if you're in England, obviously we don't have our sport of bringing now the franchise big games come to Wembley Stadium. You can watch it in England.
Yeah.
Is it twice a year, something like that? It comes on.
I think there were 3 games this year. So I'm a Wembley Stadium season ticket holder. So there were 2 games, 1 or 2 games there, and there were 3 games altogether: Tottenham and Wembley.
Wow.
And then there was the first game in Germany, Buccaneers v Seahawks as well. So it's big. The best thing I like about most American sports, to be honest, is it's an event. It's not just what happens on the field and you all disappear. It's before, you've got the tailgating before, you've got the game, and then you've got afterwards as well. So it's a full day event.
Do you know, Bish, just being a top winger in the game of rugby league, we don't have pads. The famous one when Leeds Rhinos went, I don't know if you played in that, when they went to Jacksonville or wherever, and I can remember the Americans were watching rugby league and they were shouting no pads, they couldn't believe it. Have you ever fancied having to go at this, Bish, or is time passed you by?
I'd love to have a go. Time has passed me by, but I'd love to have a go over here. My younger brother played for Leeds Carnegie, played for Sheffield Hallam as well. So yeah, I'd love to have a go as a wide receiver. But it's very technical. It is like a game of chess, and there's so much detail, and the playbook is so thick that you have to. It's not just about being great and athletic. It's actually, there's some theory behind it as well.
Well, I've seen the technical side of the coaching. It's on another level, isn't it?
That's what they say is the main struggle, isn't it, for people that I'm probably speaking for people by yourself. But I think a lot of them say that's the main struggle. It's not the athleticism, even though they are freak athletes. It's actually how in depth the playbook is and how technical it all is. That I don't think we're very off the cuff rugby league, aren't we? It's very bang, bang, bang. You play what you see. There's no playing what you see in this sport. It's all predetermined. Every play is predetermined, and it's on or it's not.
And it's fed from the college system, guys. Just explain that, Joe. How does so in this country we'd have colleges, we have universities, but over there, if you're a star in college, you can be playing in front of 60,000, 80,000, and then you get the big contract.
100,000.
Wow.
100,000. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. It's honestly, it's mind blowing. The college system over there it's actually bigger than. It's bigger than what we're about to watch. I mean, they get more fans for a Madison game in Wisconsin than they do the Packers half the time.
It just closes the town down, doesn't it? Everyone goes, literally, last one turn the light off, everyone just goes to the game.
Wow. And I don't want to make it about money, guys, but just to give people an idea again for the new people who want to come in and show an interest in it. we know what rugby league average earnings is, and we don't have to go into that. If you're an American footballer, guys, Joe's got the Tom Brady, and obviously thinks he could have been a quarterback. Bish, what does a top player earn?
I couldn't tell you.
Approximately.
It's millions, but the biggest difference is it's a lot different to contracts over here. Over there, you can be cut, and that's it. So you might have your big contract, but you'll have a certain amount of it that's guaranteed money, and then the rest will be your performances and your earned. But if you're cut, that's it. You don't see any.
What
of
does
it.
cut mean?
Just released
from the team.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very different to like over here contracts. Say you've got a 4-year contract. You know, if you don't see out that if the club want rid of you, you don't see out that 4 years, you're probably going to get a bit of a release money or a severance or whatever. Over there, it's just cut. That's it.
So you can't cutthroat in that way, innit?
Yeah.
Oh, so when they say NFL kicker's the worst job in sports, because if you've only got to miss one kick and you get cut, and then you've got to find another job in a different part of the country. You literally got your suitcase and that's it. That's you for 5 years.
I'm an historian of the game, guys, but current, but I can do the old school, the legends of the game. I was brought up on Walter Payton and the famous Chicago Bears who came over here and changed the world for us. We watched The Fridge. Yeah. Obviously, that's the historian of it. We've got I've got about 8 books upstairs, actually. Give us some names to watch out for. By the way, we're in week 11.
Yeah.
So give us some names, guys. People watching, and again, I know there's people saying, "Bloody, we know all this." But spice it up a bit.
We've got new watchers.
Yeah, well, we'll start with quarterbacks. It all revolves around the quarterback. They're your big players. They're your money players.
Mm.
When you win, it's on them. When you lose, it's on them as well. So they're your big ones. So currently, at the minute, the Eagles, they're top of the NFC with 8-1 record. Jalen Hurts is their quarterback.
Wow.
So he's going well. Jalen Hurts. You've got Kirk Cousins, and then probably the AFC is quite stacked. You've got Patrick Mahomes, who's sort of been there for the last 3 or 4 years. Josh Allen now, who's on the scene as well. And then obviously you've got Tom Brady in there as well. So
just a little bit. Tom Brady. We're talking in terms of Tom Brady, guys. We're talking Michael Jordan. We're talking about world ever GOAT. Muhammad Ali. He'd be in the. Would he get on the last table with top 6 of all time?
I think he'd have to. Wouldn't he?
He'd have to. Yeah.
Right. So we're talking Tiger Woods. We're talking that level, aren't we?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think so.
He's now playing at what age?
47, I believe.
47.
I don't think he's.
Is it
45?
We'll have to find that one. Find that one out.
Sam will have a look at that.
But we went to. They played in Germany, and the German footballers, Bayern Munich footballers, when they were meeting him, it was like they were in awe.
45.
Wow.
They're in awe of seeing him. So he's like. Even sports stars are in awe of him. He's
there's a crazy stat with Tom Brady that I think if every team combined has obviously how many Super Bowls they've got, I think he's 2nd or 3rd in the all-time list if he was a team by himself. That's how crazy.
And in Benny's reputation with Bill Belichick, who I've got a book on, and I find him fascinating as a coach. I mean,
have you took that on board? What I've just said? That would be, let's say, name a rugby player. That would be Bish winning 8 or 9 grand finals, and all the teams
put together. Yeah.
Don't even. That's how special he is.
Well, your point's great, Joe. You don't have to ask me to say it twice.
So you just moved on. I think you moved on a bit quickly from that. How impressive it was. You moved on really quick.
I'll to make a comment and get back to it. So yeah, he made his name with Bill Bridget, and I thought that was a fascinating partnership, and how we tested him, and then it things. So he'd go along with the last table. Give me any. Here's an interesting one, guys, and I think we saw him play in the World Cup final. Bish, how many rugby league players have transferred? Jared Hayne famously, and then is it Valentine Holmes?
Yeah, Valentine Holmes. Yeah.
How far did they get?
They made squads. Again, it's I think it's that playbook and theory and the depth of it, and like ultimately, if you're in there, you've got to protect the quarterback. So the running back, especially on your sort of passing downs, you're a blocker. So you've got to understand where runners are coming from, where the pass rush is coming from. So you've got to know your theory, and you've got to know that sort of stuff. And I think, as we were saying earlier, that's the biggest sort of hurdle I think that people find picking up the sport late or coming away from, not in America, being elsewhere and trying to have a crack at it.
It's just said there, I like to think this, guys, but there's a lot of similarities with our game of rugby league, isn't there? Some people watch rugby league and they said to me, I ain't the clue what's just happened. I've not got a clue about yardage. And I say, this has got some similarities. I think this is a lot more complicated, like you said. I think ours is probably playbook 1. This is probably 5 playbooks, and what you'd have to understand, because you just mentioned something there. Who's the most valuable player on the pitch, guys? The quarterback.
Yeah.
Who's his protectors as such is to stop him from pulling back in the pocket and letting it go. And it's same as rugby league. It's a yardage game, and then you either take your punt or you go for it, don't you?
Yeah, you get.
Is it field position business? Well, like us.
Yeah, you get 4 downs, so you've got to make 10 yards, and you've got 4 downs to do it. So a lot of the time, well, now it's a lot of the time. If you got to your 4th down and it were 4th and 1, 4th and 2, the 2 is the yards that you need to make to get a new set of downs. Generally, you'd punt it away and rely on your defense. Now it's a lot more. Again, probably with most sports now, it's a lot more analytically driven. So 4th and 1s. 4th and 2s, teams are going for it a bit more now.
Yeah,
backing yourself a little bit more. So, but yeah, it's you just got to try and keep ahead of the chains, and
And one of the changes I watched a couple of years ago, and please, this is me from afar, but your quarterback, your Montana, which I've got the top on, he'd be in the pocket, and it'll all be about the arm. The modern day lads are running it a lot more. You never got Montana to more than 5 metres or Brady's. Known for being a pocket player, isn't he?
Pocket, yeah.
But the modern day lads are willing to run it and run it and run it.
Well, yeah, I think the the famous one was the Philly Eagles quarterback, not Hurts, the one before him.
Randolph Cunningham.
Nick Foles.
What?
Nick Foles.
No, before the runner who was.
Donovan McNabb. Michael Vick.
Michael Vick, yeah.
I've actually beat you there. I've got the man before Vick.
It's because I view him as a Falcon, not an Eagle.
Michael Vick, I think, was the original one who changed the game. Maybe your man did.
Come get ready.
Michael
Please
Vick,
comment if you want to. I'm telling you.
Michael Vick holds. Well, I think Jalen Hurts had just beat it, and Lamar's just beat it. Sorry, hold the most rushing yards, out over any quarterback in NFL history, and he's changed the game. So that clubs looked at that and started realising, no, we can have these runners, because in college a lot of quarterbacks are actually runners. A lot of them are, but they don't transition well onto the NFL. Traditionally, that's what the traditional old school say. Where the new school are now saying, no, let them run, let them create plays for these quarterbacks who are absolute freak athletes. Yeah. Lamar Jackson can run as fast as anyone, nearly as anyone on that pitch, and he can also throw a 50-yard spiral down the thing and land. Some of the quarterbacks in the game at the moment are just special, just completely special.
It just adds another dimension altogether. You can't just rely on them standing in the pocket and throwing it. You've got to rely on them. You've got to try and keep them in the pocket, because once they're outside the pocket, it's just all bets are off. Athletes.
I've actually said that was the biggest change for me. And then again, this is going to used to the experts on this one, but the I can't pronounce his name. Gronkowski.
Yeah.
I mean, the old-fashioned. When you were catching that ball, athletic, they were unbelievable. This lad's 17 stone.
Yeah, 6 foot fat. So he's a tight end, and traditionally they were just blockers. It was an addition to the offensive line.
Changed again,
and then he changed. Well, no, he was after. He was before then. But then they started catching the ball, and then they're saying these 6'6". I think Gronk might be 6'6". Like I said, over 200 plus pounds can now run around a pitch and catch, and also do the blocking. So there's a couple of tight ends: Travis Kelce, George Kittle's probably the number one in terms of doing everything. George can do everything.
Blocker, yeah.
Amazing blocker, can catch, can do a bit. I think he runs it once or twice a season, which is unheard of for a tight end. But Kelce is now the premium pass catching tight end in the league.
There's Kelce and Mark Andrews. They're probably in the top bracket, them two.
Wow.
Of the Gronkowski style player, yeah.